Monsieur, does this mean Overwatch is back?
Nope.
Yo, what's up guys, this is Magamu, and the internet is on fire with some news that Overwatch 2 is about to undergo some pretty disappointing changes. Now, my personal history with this, about 3, maybe 4 years ago, I uploaded a video for you guys called Overwatch 2 is adding PvE or some title of that sort, because I was super excited because you guys were into Warframe, you were into PvE games. I really like Overwatch 2, and you know, what else could you possibly have imagined better than a blend between the beautiful graphics and smooth gameplay of Overwatch's PvP with PvE content. So if you didn't want to deal with the competitiveness or the toxicity of a PvP environment, but you still like the lore and the characters of Overwatch, you could play that in a calmer, more localized or solo mode or co-op mode with your friends PvE version of that game, right? But the unfortunate news is they are canceling the PvE version of this, and everyone's pretty upset. I'm one of the people who are upset because I was pretty excited about this. Now, just to give you some historical context, you do need to know that it's not just that they're canceling a PvE mode that they got everyone excited for. They launched a now pointless version of Overwatch 2, which is now just a balance patch for the PvP mode. But also you have to understand that the whole reason that the original PvP Overwatch 6v6 mode even exists is because it is the failed offspring of Blizzard MMO called Titan. So essentially Titan was going to be this big, futuristic, colorful MMO that Blizzard was going to be putting out, and that ended up being scaled all the way back to being just the PvP game that we know today. So it's super disappointing to see that whatever happened at Blizzard to cause Titan to fail and fall back onto a PvP only mode, that's happening again with Overwatch 2, and they made promises and they are just not coming to fruition. A lot of people are upset about this, and if you're wondering why people are upset, Overwatch is a free game anyway. The promises are probably what brought a lot of people back to Overwatch 2, right? When Overwatch 2 launched, they were definitely promising that the PvE mode was going to come with it, which essentially was going to be very much like Warframe, Destiny in some ways, in the way that in the PvP mode, you just have abilities, you use them, and you brawl it out. In the PvE mode, it was going to have a lot more progression like you would see in RPGs, looter shooters, MMOs, that type of thing, where you would have character trees, you would have upgrades, your abilities would change, and you would get stronger and stronger and be able to do those missions with your friends. You would have deep progression into the characters and into the world and into the story of Overwatch, which again, a lot of people saw that announcement and they were going to be super excited about that, and they're very disappointed now. Now, that makes you just think, what even is Overwatch 2 at this point, right? And that's one of the reasons people are upset, because even I'm one of the people who went back to Overwatch 2, really looking forward to the PvE mode to get more into a new PvE game. So what is Overwatch 2 right now? Well, it's technically, people are calling it Overwatch 1.5, but bro, it's 1.1. It's a patch. It's a balanced patch with a few new heroes, a few new maps added to it, changes to the ways that tanks work, and it went from a 6v6 to a 5v5. A lot of this stuff could have just happened in a balance patch if the PvE hero progression system wasn't promised. And the thing about this is, people waited so long for this, and I'm talking about 2 levels of this, so just brace for impact. First of all, they stopped working on Overwatch 1 back in the day because they wanted to work on this and start pushing towards the sequel, but then you go off and do it again. So now any opinions that people had of Blizzard and had of the Overwatch team, those opinions have been reinforced not just once, but twice. It's just a really bad look, and I feel bad for everyone. Now, the changes that they say they're going to make, if you're still looking forward to PvE content, I don't know why you would. They're going to add some small PvE content to future Overwatch seasons. So not only are you going to get new characters or battle passes in the future, but you're also going to get these small PvE drops. Now, I liken these to some of the old Overwatch 1 events where maybe some of the original Overwatch characters like Tracer, Reinhardt, I believe Torb was in there, and maybe even Mercy. It's probably going to be something like that moving forward in the future, where you're just going to slim down 4-player co-op mission with a little bit of lore to it. It's not going to be the deep hero progression that players that play MMOs or players that play things like Warframe or Destiny would expect with some type of progression. Like, it's going to be a very slimmed down version. So if you're going to be disappointed by this, totally understandable, because it is just not what they originally promised. Now, here's my issue with it. My issue with what has happened with Overwatch 2 is essentially, and this is going to be very controversial with people who enjoy Overwatch 2, because I enjoy Overwatch 2. A lot of people, including myself, have accepted a lot of what I would call downgrades going from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 in the name of maybe the PvE mode is going to be amazing. Let me give you some examples. A lot of things were just outright slimmed down or removed going from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. So for example, loot boxes. Now I know you're saying, bro, we hate loot boxes. Loot boxes are the worst. Well, that wasn't really the case with Overwatch. Overwatch probably had the best loot box system in gaming, especially considering that Overwatch was a paid game. So the loot box system was very great. Like, you felt like you were progressing. Every time you open a loot box, not only did you have the chance to get random skins and things like that that you may have wanted, even if it wasn't on the character you wanted, it was a nice skin that you could get. But even if you didn't roll the items that you want, you could build up currency in the game to then go on and buy the things that you want at a fairly decent rate. Like, as long as you were playing Overwatch 1, playing the events, playing games on a daily, you were actively progressing, getting currency, and getting the skins and items that you wanted in the game. But they removed the loot box system and took us more back to a battle pass system. Now, with the battle pass system, I can tell you, if you don't pay, your progression is severely halted from what was available in Overwatch 1, which is understandable because it's a free game now. I've been playing it a while, and even with what I've accumulated as a completely free-to-play player over about 3 months, casually doing weeklies, but I've been playing about 50% of what I think like a super hardcore everyday player would be playing. I haven't even accumulated enough coins for one single gold skin in this game. Now, I still have all my coins from Overwatch 1, but just for the sake of if a new player had come in, I would say if a new player had been playing this game for 2 to 3 months, there's a strong possibility if they played casually, they have not earned a single golden skin in weeks to months. That is not free to play. That is, for the most part, pay to get your stuff. You can still play the game for free. I don't want to confuse that. But that sense of progressing in the game, I would say, is mostly gone. Now, there are other things, other senses of progression, which, for example, would be the character profiles around the character, right? So when you enter a game, you have these different colored borders around your character. They would be silver, bronze, then silver, then gold, right? And the more you played the game, the more people could see, wow, this person played the game a lot. They've progressed a lot. That also is gone, right? A lot of people who grinded that, who wanted to feel a sense of progression, again, maybe outside of skins, but in their active level and their presented level of the game, that is gone. And instead of maybe tweaking the system, they actively removed it. So a lot of the progression in skins, a lot of the progression in player levels and character portraits, a lot of that was removed. I personally am not a fan of the current UI. I think the old UI was better, and I was more of a fan of actively showing the fire system. In Overwatch 1, the better you did in a game, your character profile will be on fire. They still audibly say, I'm on fire. But for the most part, even that has been visually removed from the game. So I would say objectively, even if you like Overwatch 2, it has removed possibly more things than it has added. And I would say, if you had the opinion that it is not an objectively better game removed from the PvE mode being available, that's a fair thing to say. Now, do I still enjoy the game? Yes, but I definitely think this is a huge oversight for Blizzard. In my most rude thing I could possibly say, I would say just rewind the game back to Overwatch 1 at this point, as far as some of the progression systems, because it's not great now. And what we essentially have now is just a slimmed down live service game meant to milk what's left of the Overwatch brand. If that is, and that's my most charitable view of it. But I love live service games. I love free games. And I think as long as they're free and they're fair in their free monetization, I have no problem with it. And I prefer games that are going to be around for a long period of time and that I can actively keep coming back to. So I personally don't have a problem with live service games. I actually love them. But what we have here, without the PvE mode and removed of all the promises of what that PvE mode would be, I think we have an inferior product, to be honest with you. I think it's a quality product based on everything that was in the game from Overwatch 1. All the benefits, a lot of the benefits of Overwatch 1 are there, but what we have is not justified of a sequel by far. It's barely just, people calling it Overwatch 1.5. I don't even agree with that. It's like 1.1, 1.2. It is definitely not anywhere near a justification of a sequel. It's barely a big patch, because honestly, if they had kept developing this game would be much further along than maybe, I believe, 4, maybe 5 new heroes. I'm not entirely sure without counting them. A few new maps and a balance patch, maybe major changes to the way that tanks especially are balanced in the game. It's just not there. So hopefully they will figure out what they would do with that. If you were to ask me, I would say canceling the PvE was not it. Now, I definitely understand what they're saying. They're saying that, well, we had to cancel it. You know, for the future of the game, we had to continue developing the game, and they didn't want the game to go into another lull that it went through in, I believe, 2019, 2020, where there just was nothing going on with the game, and they don't want that to happen anymore. I disagree. I think maybe they need to find a path forward to deliver on what they promised. I think people were excited for it, and I think the evidence of that is the internet is very disappointed today. And I am very disappointed, because this is making me, rethink my playtime in Overwatch 2, thinking, I was kind of excited for the PvE, and this definitely reframes things in a light that maybe I'll look at the game differently, and maybe that may affect my playtime. It's probably going to affect other people, especially with the reputation in the dump. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think because they're taking a hit to their reputation, I think that's going to be bad. I don't think that's going to be good for Overwatch's community, and I don't think it's going to be good for bringing in new players and just everyone's opinion of Blizzard at this point. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. I was excited for the PvE because we're actively looking for new PvE games on this channel, and man, it is slow. It is very slow. But you guys let me know what you think. This is terrible. Talk to you later.